Happy Friday, one and all. We made it through another week. Oh yeah. Welcome to Maximum Freedom with Mike. I am your host, Mike, coming at you from the dungeon, which is basically my basement, the studio office that I have down there. Hope everybody is doing well. How are ya? I am doing excellent. I am glad to have survived another rough week. And rough week meaning I just worked really hard all week. Really hard. Alright, this is the second episode of this new show here. And I'm excited about it. Getting a lot of listeners. Talking about things I'm passionate about. It's just awesome. And you'll have to forgive me if you hear kids in the background upstairs. This basement is not very well insulated, so it's not soundproof or anything. So if you hear some kids giggling, screaming, crying, otherwise murdering each other, it's all natural, man. Don't worry about it. Alright, so I got some things that are on my heart that I just feel like I need to say right off the bat. So I'm just going to hop right into this stuff, and then we'll talk about some things going on in the news. We live in an era of big government. That's a fact that's probably pretty clear to most of you who are listening to this podcast. The ideals of liberty and personal responsibility, they're no longer celebrated here in the United States. Instead of taking responsibility for your own actions and doing what's right to stand on your own 2 feet, just sit down, man, take a load off. Let the government take care of things. After all, they're here to help, right? My friends, if you've bought into this lie, as I once did, you have sold yourself into slavery. You willingly allowed those in power to place chains and fetters around your wrists and your ankles. You've chosen your master, and the sad part is, you're probably pretty comfortable with it. You don't mind jumping through hoops and doing what your master says. At least you have food to eat. You don't have to spend hours upon hours flipping burgers or doing some job that's, beneath you, like cleaning and being a janitor or, bus driver or something like that. Nah, you can rest easy. Master takes good care of you. What you don't see is that when you depend on the government, you are at their mercy. You get in line with their program or else. Hey, excuse me, Mr. Johnson, looks like here in the last election, you voted for a Republican candidate. I'm afraid right now that we can't qualify you for the assistance that you need. Unless, of course, you were to, be a good boy and stop voting for those people and vote for who we tell you to vote for. I'm sorry to tell you this, but if you don't fall in line, the government, will take away all these gracious gifts they're giving to you. They fatten you up with all the offers of free stuff, which isn't really free. Taxpayers are paying for it. To get you hooked like a junkie looking for his next hit of smack. They want you dependent, addicted to the system so that they can manipulate you. You are nothing more than a pawn in their scheme to fundamentally transform America from a land of liberty to a land that is controlled by the wealthy, elitist politicians who control you and will ensure that you will never rise above your station in life. These people want you to know your place. They don't believe that you're smart enough to take care of yourself. They don't think you know what's best for your children. They think you're an idiot. They think because they've got an Ivy League education that they are more qualified to make decisions about your life than you are. If you continue to depend on the government for help, this will be your fate. Trapped in your station in life with no hope of ever getting off the system or above where you're at. They want you to be a slave. They want you to stay down. They don't want you to think for yourself. They want to tell you what to think. They want to control the actions of your life. They want to tell you what you can and can't do in your bedroom. They want to tell you what you should or should not eat. They want to tell you that you have no right to protect yourself from all the crazy nutbags that are running loose around out here. They want you to depend on the police to protect you. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against police officers, but let's be realistic here. The time it takes them to respond to a call about an intruder, who knows what could happen by then? You could be raped and murdered. Your children could be killed in their beds. You have a fundamental right to protect yourself. But not according to these people. Oh no. No, because if you own a gun could kill someone. Yeah, think about that for a second. An inanimate object that can kill someone. I tell you what, for the majority of liberals to be so against faith and religion, they sure have a lot of faith in magic, because I don't know how else a gun could pick itself up, point itself at someone, and fire. That's like saying that it's the fork that puts the food in your mouth. It doesn't make sense, man. It's a tool. The gun is a tool for protection. People kill people. They did it before guns were around. They'll do it after you take them away. Whether it's knives, rocks, sticks, bare hands, there will always be a way to murder. That's just the nature of the beast. Anyway, while all this seems very, very bleak, this doesn't have to be your future or mine. There's something we can do to free ourselves from our slavery. We hold the keys to our own chains. The keys are not in the hands of the oppressors. No, we've had them the whole time. All we need to do is say, enough is enough. I don't need you to take care of me anymore. The only person responsible for my life is me. The only person responsible for my family is me. I'm going to get a job, any job, and I'm going to buy my own food, my own clothes, pay for my own house. I'm going to educate myself and start a business. I'm going to grow and create jobs that will stimulate the economy and help other people put food on the table and clothes on their backs. That's the American way. That's how we got to be the greatest nation in the world. We've lost that sense of responsibility. Talked about that on Wednesday. My own story. I was one of these people like this. I was like you. I was where you are at. I experienced the trauma of poverty and dependence on government. I'm working my way out of that hole still. But it takes us to take responsibility and say enough is enough. This is no way for a human to live. I'm a burden to taxpayers. I'm not doing my part. And because of that, they're taking away my freedom, my chance, my opportunity. Enough's enough, America. We got to stop this crap. The biggest way to stop a bloated government is to take care of yourself, to phase them out, to show them that they have no purpose, no meaning, no reason to exist, because you could take care of yourself. Our journey back from the clutches of a bloated, out-of-control government begins with the individual. You and I have to stop buying into the lies our culture tells us and just start taking responsibility for ourselves. We have to be willing to do what's hard, the hard stuff. We have to be willing to work jobs that suck with terrible pay, live in places that aren't the Ritz-Carlton, batten down the hatches, wartime living. We have to be willing to take risks, learn new skills, build new businesses, willing to put in 60, 70 hours a week of work to better ourselves and our situation. I mean, it sucks. It sucks. It does. It's painful. It hurts. It's not fun. I'm going through this process right now. It's freaking hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But let me tell you something. It is heaven compared to the alternative. The alternative is being a slave to someone else. Now, I'm a natural-born rebel. I rebel against crap all the time. I hate people trying to tell me what to do. I realize that there are times when you have to submit to authority, and that authority is good when it's done right. But I refuse to allow the government to step into my life and tell me what I can and can't do as far as starting a business, what I can and can't do with my family, what I can or can't teach my children, whether I can or can't own a weapon, what kind of health care I need to purchase. This is all way above their pay grade. This is my personal life. But by relying on the government for help, I have given them say in those areas in my life. He who pays the piper calls the tune, bro. Do you get that? I don't want that for my family. I don't want that for me. Hopefully you don't either. I don't believe you do. I don't believe for a second that anyone listening to this right now wants the government in their business that deep. Personally, as being a libertarian, I'd like them as far away from my business as they could get. I don't want them anywhere near me or my family or my children or anything. I just don't want it. I just don't. That's not what the way this country was founded, was that the government, they were put far away. They had limits. They were to be out of your personal business. I miss that. I've never really experienced that. But we have to be willing to do the hard stuff if we want that kind of liberty back. That's all there is to it. We cannot put limits on the government until we tell them emphatically, we don't need you in our lives. Words don't work with these people. We got to show them. Hey, I'm paying my own bills. I'm taking care of myself and my family. I don't need you. I don't want to have to sit in front of my computer and read and write all day until my eyes bleed. But it pays the bills. It's what I need to do while I'm building my businesses. I'm building 2 businesses at the same time. It's a lot of hard work. I'm building this little media thing that I'm doing with podcasts and YouTube channels and blogs and all this other stuff because I believe in the cause of freedom. It takes a lot of work. Then I'm building a publishing company, and I'm also freelancing to pay the bills. It's a lot of work. But I know for a fact that if I work hard and I apply sound economic principles, that I will be successful. And my goal isn't just to be successful to make sure that my kids have, food and everything else. I am doing this so that I can grow businesses to create jobs. I want to stimulate the economy. It's not the government's job to do that. It's our job to do that. But it starts with me. I can't help other people if I can't take care of me. I just want to stress this so badly to you people because there are so many who are like, I don't know what to do. Where do I start? You start with you. You start with you. I mean, it's providing value for people, contributing to society in a meaningful way. I had to personally stop blaming everyone else for my situation, including the government. I stopped and I realized that in my personal situation, there was one variable that kept popping up in the equation. Me. I heard this quote once from a television show. You'll have to forgive me because I don't typically use this kind of language, but I think it drills home my point. Again, excuse me, I'm a Christian. I don't normally talk this way, but this quote just hits it right out of the park. If you run across an asshole in the morning, you've just run into an asshole. You run into assholes all day, you're the asshole. Catch my drift? I realized that I was the problem. I was lazy, I was unfocused, I was unorganized, my whole life was a mess. I mean, everything was just chaos. So I started making changes. But before I could change my actions, I first had to start learning how to change my thinking. I started telling myself that, hey, you know what, responsibility, it's a good thing. Working hard is honorable. I mean, see, I didn't believe these things. I thought, oh my gosh, working is such a waste of time. I could be playing video games. I could be hanging out with my kids. I could be doing this. I could be doing that. Why bother? Yeah, no matter how hard I work, I don't make a whole lot of money, blah, 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 blah. Because I wanted it all without costing me anything. I didn't want to give up my time. I didn't want to sweat. I didn't want to work. I didn't believe that work was honorable. So I had to drill this through my head. I drilled myself over and over with this thought until it finally sunk in, and now I actually believe it. I get it. I get it. It's now become a part of who I am. Other changes have come along, and I'm on my way to creating 2 successful businesses. I'm working hard to succeed, and I know I'll achieve my goals as long as I keep focused and keep on working. If I can do it, so can you. I'm nobody special. I'm not a genius. I'm not Einstein. I'm not Bill Gates. I'm not Steve Jobs. I don't have these incredible brain powers like these men had. I'm just a normal dude. I mean, I would like to think I'm a smart guy. I had a college reading level in 3rd grade. I can read better than most people. Whoop-de-doo. I'm primarily a self-taught person, but I've put in the work. That's what makes all the difference. You don't have to be the world's super smartest person. You have to be the person who's willing to work when everybody else stops. You got to be the first one in the door, the last one out at night. That's how it goes. If you want to be successful in this world with all the competition going on out there, you just have to work harder than everyone else. You have to dedicate yourself to what you do more so than everyone else. We need to do this. We need to start taking responsibility for ourselves. If we don't start taking responsibility for ourselves, we will lose our freedom and our country. I mean, that's the way it is. We're going to lose our freedom and we're going to lose our country. It's already happening. We're already losing freedoms and civil liberties at an alarming rate. I mean, it's crazy. Every day they're trying to suck the life out of what makes this country wonderful. There will be nothing left. No future for our children. But we can fix it if we're willing to work. Change ourselves first and be the examples for others. Transform culture and then work towards chopping away at our bloated government. Scale it back down to its constitutional limits. We can do this. We really can. But it's going to take work and effort like you have never experienced in your life. You got to be willing to bleed in order to take responsibility for yourself and no longer be a slave. Freedom, my friend, is not free. Okay? You've heard that saying a million times, and it's true. Freedom is not free. It costs us a great deal. I would rather it cost me my time and hard labor as opposed to costing me my pride, my freedom, and everything that goes with that. So that's where we start. That's where I've started in my own personal journey, is with myself. I have heard time and time again, being a Christian from the Bible, about a man needing to take responsibility for himself and to provide for his family, and I ignored it. I just straight ignored it. I was like, I don't feel like doing it, so I'm not going to do it. That made me a slave. I thought I was being free, right? Like, I'm not going to conform to what everybody else is doing. I'm going to be free. Poverty is not freedom, my friend. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who, don't feel like they can ever crawl up out of their situation, and it's tough. I understand where you're coming from. I'm not a 1% person. I'm not rich. But I'm telling you, government solutions to these problems aren't going to work. Free market, that's what's going to work. We need to deregulate everything, decentralize everything. Let the free market handle it all, and it will balance everything out. That's what we need to do. And in order to get to that place, though, everybody has got to start taking responsibility. We have to stop blaming everybody else for our problems. Nobody else has put us in the situations we're in but us. No matter what our circumstance or situation is. And it's up to the individual to say, I am not going to be defeated. I am not going to lie down. I am not going to stay down. I am going to get back up, and I am going to make something of myself, and I am going to be a benefit to the American people, not a drain, not a leech. I feel you. I know where you're coming from. But the foundation of liberty is personal responsibility. I wanted to take time this week in both podcasts to make that point abundantly clear. You cannot say you want freedom. You cannot say you want a constitutional government if you are not willing to fend for yourself at all costs. The road will be hard, but we have to be willing to do that. And along with that, we have to be willing to help other people. If one of our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, is down and out, they shouldn't have to go to the government for help. They should be able to go to their neighbors, their churches, each other. We should rely on each other so that we can keep each other away from being a slave of the government. Now, that doesn't mean that you just keep going for handouts. See, I learned this lesson the hard way. And it wasn't until someone said, Mike, you need to stop trying to borrow money from people. You need to stand up. You're an able-bodied man. You're smart. You don't have to live like this. I'm not going to help you. I'm going to make you feel the pressure of this. And I'm telling you what, that was the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me. It woke me up. And I see it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is worse than what I saw it as before. Before I didn't see this as, I'm just in a tough spot. Then I realized, no, I'm putting myself here. I'm making myself a slave and a drain to other people. I want to be a blessing to other people, not a drain. So I said, I got to step it up. And it was within my ability and power the whole time. Now I'm ahead of my bills. Now I'm working toward getting out. And it's all because I'm applying sound economic principles. Thanks to the free market. I'm telling you, every issue, whether it's social or whether it's economic, it goes to economics. It all ties into the free market. The free market would help us determine so much and provide solutions for so many of our problems if we would just deregulate the government and go that direction again. Let the free market do what it does best. It is the great equalizer, man. You want justice? I'm telling you, the free market will supply justice. Now, obviously, as a Christian, I do not personally support gay marriage. I don't. But I hold the libertarian view that I don't think the government should be in marriage at all. Let individuals decide themselves if they want to be married and enter into a voluntary contract, and let employers honor that contract so that they can have their benefits. That way, no churches are forced to accept, this cultural lifestyle, and at the same time, homosexuals won't feel like they're being slighted or that they're missing out on something. They just don't have to go to those churches. And I think along with that, examples such as, I think there was this diner down in either North or South Carolina where a man said that he would not serve gay people. He used a much dirtier word, and that's just not cool. But he still has the right to say what he wants to say. I won't take that away from him. I think he's a jerk for it. And because of that, even I won't eat there if I'm ever in that area. You see, the free market can punish that man by saying, well, guess what? All of us who think that what you've said about gay people is wrong, we're not going to eat at your restaurant anymore. We're going to boycott. If enough people boycott, the guy goes out of business. That's a pretty bad punishment. See, the free market will punish him for his stupidity. We don't need to have legislation to tell him he can't speak his mind. And look, just because I disagree with homosexual lifestyle and whatnot, doesn't mean that I don't like homosexuals. I think there's a lot of great people, period, no matter what your sexual orientation is. And I think that all people have a right to be treated fairly. But I don't think any business should be forced to cater to a person by legislation. I think the free market should handle it. Oh, this person wants to hate on gay people? Guess what? Nobody's going to eat there now. Now you're going to go out of business. You're going to suffer. And one of two things will happen. This guy will either change his mind, or he'll continue what he's doing and what he believes in, and he'll go out of business, and maybe he'll start a different kind of business. I don't know. One way or the other, the free market is the best kind of justice you could ask for. We need to stop trying to legislate all this stuff, away. It's just not going to work. More rules is not the answer. Well, guys, that's what I had for the first half hour. I just really felt like sharing that, really felt like talking about it. I hope it's inspired some of you guys who might be struggling. You know, I want to be a blessing and a benefit to people. So I want to help be an encouragement. You know, we can do this. We can get our freedom back. We can save our country. We can do all of that and live by those principles again as long as we're willing to work and take care of ourselves. That's where it starts. The revolution starts there. It's revolutionary now to take care of yourself without relying on the government. You want to be a rebel? Take care of your family. You want to be a rebel? Raise your kids. That's where it starts. That's where it starts. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break here, get some water, and then we will come back and talk about some of the crazy crap going on in the news today. And there is a lot. Oh, man, such a crazy news day. It's just, I don't know. Every day is a crazy news day. All right, guys, I will see you in a bit.